So Lisa, we're back. We're back in the studio. We're here at Mount Street, and we're back for series 2 of Scale Up Your Sales and Marketing. How are you feeling today?
I'm so excited. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to share more valuable content with our listeners. But obviously, Vic, you and I know that it wasn't always guaranteed that we'd be coming back for a second series.
I know. Yeah, we had to really think about it at the end of series 1, and we've been looking at all the statistics and making some really big decisions. And should we go over some of those statistics now and run through? Because it might be interesting for the listeners to know about how it's been going.
Definitely. I think just for context, when we started the podcast journey, for want of a better word, the one thing that stuck in my mind was about how having a podcast can bring your content to a global audience. Yep. And I suppose in a way I never really appreciated that, because I probably think quite narrow in some ways in terms of who my audience is from, an age demographic, whether they from gender, and from location, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But actually when we dug deeper into the statistics from our first series, we were a bit blown away weren't we, by what we found?
27 countries for starters. Over 1,000 listens, and we'd got what surprised me the most really was the age range between 23 to 27 years of age, 19%. So like a fifth of people were between 23 to 27. And I think it's really comforting to know that we're reaching loads of different ages, loads of different countries, and it felt like we were scratching the surface really with series 1.
Absolutely. And that's why we decided, didn't we? So we arranged before Christmas, right, we're going out for pizza. It's make or break time. We were being really bold with ourselves and saying, at the end of this evening, we're going to have a decision.
Yeah.
And actually, I think pretty much as soon as we sat down, we both were already feeling like, we're back. We're coming back for more.
Yeah, before we even ordered the prosecco.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I think that came about because you put a post out, didn't you, on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
Asking for feedback from those people who had listened.
Yeah.
And I suppose that in a way is a lesson, isn't it? Because you never really know who's listening. You obviously know people are listening, but you don't know who specifically. And that post triggered some really valuable feedback, didn't it, from our listeners? And the unanimous feedback that came from them was, yes, we want you to come back for a second series. And the type of things that they were saying to us were, can you remember what they were saying from that post?
Yeah. And well, firstly, it was nice that it's not like it was, because my mum isn't on LinkedIn, but imagine if it was like my mum going, yeah, you should definitely do it. It's actually our customers, people that know how we add value, but they aren't so close to us, but then they're not too far away that they don't know us well enough. So it was people that have been our customers that say, things like they want to know more about real stories, when things go wrong, how we turned it round, and more specific things like how to sell products, how to do more stuff with selling products when there's tasting sessions and things like this. So yeah, we've got loads in this series to really answer all them questions, which I know we're just so excited about, because there's loads of, we've got props, we've got stories.
And I think the thing that came across, and this probably is not a surprise to anyone who's listening, is that the overriding feedback was, we want the style of the podcast to be more conversational.
Yeah.
And actually, when you just think, well, of course, it's a podcast. That's what it's all about. So I think you'll probably see a slight change in the format this series.
Yeah.
We've also...
They're not even slight. I think this is drastic.
Yeah,
because before we were like, obviously in the same place, same table, same mic, same earphones, but we had our notes and we were literally like, not reading verbatim because we were, having them as a crutch to help us with the conversation, but we knew what we were talking about. And this time we've got like 4 bullet points, and it does feel a little scary.
Yeah.
But also it feels more like real life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And more conversational.
And that's exactly how we want it to be. And I think for me, as when I was telling you, wasn't I don't know if it was on that evening when we went for pizza or whether it was probably over WhatsApp afterwards, that I'd read an article in a magazine And the article was about, podcasts and sort of some of the statistics. And it said 90% of podcasters quit after 3 episodes. Of the 10% that continue, 90% quit before they get to episode 23.
Oh my gosh, we definitely need to get past there then.
I know. And I said to you, didn't I, in true, sort of this is my style. Well, I don't want to be one of those statistics. So we need to keep going, because we say all the time, don't we, to our customers and clients, it's persistence and being consistent. And then if we gave up after 10 episodes, well, we're not exactly setting a good example, are we, to our audience? So we're back. We're back. We're really excited to be back.
And we have an addition as well. We've got the cameras this time, which is another with 3D.
I did my hair this morning. I put a bit of makeup on, which is very unlike me. So this is serious business now. But we hope that serves to add even more value to you, our audience, and our listeners, who we are very grateful for.
Yeah.
So Vic, what have you been up to since we were last in the studio?
Well, it feels like 5 minutes since we were here. So I'm trying to think, what have I been up to? We have been working in the background on brand new range of services that are going to be launching this year. I'm not going to say too much, but there is going to be an online program. There is a book coming, and some other bits and bobs as well. But yeah, I'm sure throughout the podcast series, we'll be talking about that in a bit more depth. We've applied for a trademark, so I'm just a little bit nervous until that comes back and it's all fully ticked off. So once all that's sorted, then I'll be able to say a bit more.
Oh, exciting.
What about you?
Well, actually, that is new news to me, because I didn't know that.
Did you not know that?
No, and now you've got me thinking about trademarks. Oh. And actually, that is possibly a title for an upcoming episode, because my business name, Find Me the Leads, is also a registered trademark.
Of course, yeah.
And actually, that was really important to me to get that sorted early on in the process. So maybe let's cover that as a topic as we go forward.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Yeah, and it's
quite a minefield, isn't it? Of what do you need to do? Who do you need to speak to? What's the process? How do you protect yourself? If somebody then comes and
It definitely...
It could be one we have a guest on for.
Yeah, it definitely can be. It definitely can be. Before I go on to talk about what's been happening my end, because that you mentioned guests just now. Our listeners from Series 1 did say they'd like to hear from guests, and we would too. We would love to hear from guests. So what we are saying is that we would love to invite guests onto our podcast going forward. So if you are interested in joining us as a guest, if you also have value to add to small businesses, then please do get in touch via our Instagram account, whatever channel. I nearly said that,
which is Scale Up Podcast.
Yeah.
So go find us on Instagram and drop us a DM and let us know how you help small businesses and what kind of topics you can bring to the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be real.
It's funny that you've been working on an online sort of membership or learning platform, because I have too.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. So it's been a long time coming, to be honest. So I've wanted for a long time to serve a wider audience. So a wider audience of food and drink producers, helping them really get themselves retail ready. So taking them essentially from market stall to retail shelf. So funnily enough, I am launching a membership too, which I've been really, really lucky. And I say that in inverted commas because we're going to talk about the word luck in another episode.
In episode 13, actually.
To get some funding to get that up and running. So
nice.
That has made me sort of forge ahead and push towards a deadline to get that up and running. So I've been working on a membership. I've also, in 2023, I committed to myself that I would get on it in terms of sending out a newsletter to my audience.
Yeah, and I've been reading your newsletter when it comes through every Sunday.
So in 2023, it was a monthly newsletter. I just felt like once a month, it felt hard, because it's like when you say once a month, in my head I was thinking that means I've got to create a lot of content. So anyway, to cut a long story short, in January, I relaunched my newsletter, and it's now a weekly newsletter which goes out every Sunday.
Yeah.
And do you know what? I'm absolutely loving the process of writing it.
You can tell as well, because I think when somebody enjoys something, it comes across in the copy, in the content, and you can almost like hear you smiling as you're writing it.
Yeah. And I've also incorporated a few low-level swear words. But like you said, your mum's not on LinkedIn. My dad's not on my newsletter list. So that's absolutely fine, because at the age of 50, I've still never sworn in front of my dad. It was just not the done thing to do.
No, I'm the same. If I do, if I really get it in the neck. He does listen to the podcast as well, so I'm glad we keep it clean.
I always find myself, when I feel like a swear word coming, I have to give him a pre-warning. Brace yourself, Dad. It's going to get ugly.
Oh, Lisa.
Oh, but Vic, indulge me for a minute, if you will. So, you don't know about this, but I've actually brought a prop along with me.
Oh, right.
And
What have we got?
This is to talk about what I've been up to since we were last
Wait, I need my
together.
glasses. Is it bingo?
No, it's not bingo. So, I am a massive victim of shiny object syndrome.
Oh, yeah.
So I go off on tangents all the time. Oh, that's a good idea. How about we do that? Oh, yes, I hadn't thought of that. But this year I've set myself a resolution. I'm going to be laser focused in terms of moving closer to my goals as a business owner. And that involves saying no as well.
I'm very excited.
So you might be thinking, what on earth is this?
Yeah, what is it?
So this is my ideas jar.
Can we just, for the listeners, because I know this is on video, we need to explain what this looks like.
So I've got a plastic sweetie jar, which is full of coloured...
And it's big. It's like 30, 40 centimetres. It's like one of those on the shelves where you used to go into the sweet shop and they'll get down the, what was it called? Rhubarb and custards. Yeah. It's that big with a big red lid.
Which is indicative of the amount of ideas that I have,
or
the number of shiny objects that I get distracted by. So in here, when I have an idea, like, oh, wouldn't it be a good idea? Oh, I need a new this, and I need a new that. I write it on a Post-it and I pop it in the jar.
Love it.
And then once a month, typically on the last Friday of the month on the afternoon, I go through the shiny objects in the jar, Post-it notes, and I look at them, and if I can't remember what it even means, I take it out and I bin it.
Okay.
So I don't want to stop.
Oh, so it's like a filtering system.
It is. And that's
a shiny, can I have a look? Like a shiny object filtering system.
And that's the whole point, that it's, if I can't remember what it is, it goes in the bin. And as small business owners and entrepreneurs, we never want to stop generating ideas.
No, 100%.
But we need to not let them distract us and not let them throw us off course, because we all know you've got to stay in your own lane, haven't you?
You have, and you've got to do those things that are right. And we've talked about this in all the episodes in Series 1 about knowing your target audience and choosing the right touch points that are for them.
Yeah.
Like when I took you on safari. Do you remember?
I do remember, and that was absolutely correct. So for me, this year is about staying on track, not being distracted, and being really clear and focused about what I want to achieve.
Brilliant.
And the steps I need to take to get me there.
I love it. Well, we've got a lot to get through, haven't we?
Haven't we? We better crack on, haven't we, really?
Another 10 episodes coming. This is number 1. It starts at episode 12. So we've got episode 13 next, where we're talking about luck or being unlucky and lucky. And then we've got loads more stuff to come. But as always, we're really interested in all your feedback. Obviously, drop us a message on Instagram at Scale Up Podcast if there's anything that you want to feedback on any of the episodes as we go through. And we're really looking forward to getting cracking with all the rest of the episodes.